my big question number one is like, what problem are we trying to solve with this?
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
The Talisman system. For those of you that don't know what the Talisman system is, it's something new coming to Hero Wars Alliance, which is the mobile version of the game. These are going to be stat additions to 6 heroes, and eventually they're going to roll these out to most or all heroes. At least that's the idea. During the celebration, let's see. Phenomenal talismans formed from the energy of the cosmos itself have appeared in the Dominion, but only the select few can channel their staggering power. During the celebration, these cosmic talismans will be available to Aurora, Astaroth, Faceless, Galahad, Maya, and Nebula. Help the chosen heroes harness their profound power and pick the stats you want to improve. The power of the cosmos is now in your grasp. So basically what this is additional stats added to existing heroes. And there are a couple of different ways kind of to look at this. This right here that I'm about to show you is a work in progress document. All right, this is a work in progress document, so don't take this as gospel. Let's see here. Let's zoom in a little bit. So you can see that they have little icons above their frames, denoting that they have talismans. All right, and the 6 heroes that are getting the talismans: Aurora, Astaroth, Faceless, Galahad, Maya, and Nebula. Anyway, so you unlock 4 tiers to the talisman, and then each slot has stats that are added to it. All right, there's a base main stat that doesn't change. Right, for example, Astaroth is getting agility, Galahad is getting strength, Maya is getting intelligence, and this is example, again, work in progress here. And then you'll have 3 more slots that vary, and what they vary on is kind of up in the air. Sometimes we're discussing that they are random stats and you can re-roll them. Sometimes they are legendary roll, that is a higher stat roll or a lower stat roll. And the idea is this is gonna change up the game somehow. All right, now again, work in progress. There's a lot here, and you might have even heard that a couple of players have gotten access. To this as a little bit of a play test. I was in Florida. I was in Tampa, and thus unable to attend. My interview playtest thing was supposed to be this morning. We were going to do a live stream. Daniel and Alina and myself, we're going to do a live stream today. Over the course of the past 5 or 6 days, the Hero Wars Alliance influencer Discord server has been kind of a mess. Everything from genuine debates to name calling and outright telling people that their opinions don't matter. And, it's just been a mess. Okay. Say what you will about the nature of the Hero Wars Alliance community. For the most part, we don't like change. Nobody does. Right. And stuff that's being added to the game, you can't please everyone. First of all, you're never going to please everyone, and there's always going to be things that you would rather have done instead. I know a number of us would like to see some other quality of life improvements instead of this talisman system, and a lot of us are blinded by our own personal biases. For example, it might surprise you to learn that the majority of players aren't even in a guild. The average player is not even in a guild. They have, the 100,000 whatever plus new downloads a day according to the, the financial documents. Where are all those heroes? Where are, my server seems empty. How come, a lot of people just download the game and they log in the game and they play 15 minutes and they never play it again. Some people log in and play the game, 10 minutes a day and until they're done doing whatever they're doing. They're out of energy and then they call it for the day. It's just a little time waster. And some of us spend 6 or 8 hours a day playing this game, right? And you guys know how I feel. I mentioned it a couple of times that, this game was initially designed to be played in, a 45-minute increment in a day, and anything kind of beyond that, some of the systems start to fall apart. Now, on the, it is worth knowing that the longer that they can keep eyeballs on their game, the higher that they can sell their ad placements, right? If you're trying to get a company to advertise in a game like Hero Wars, You bring them metrics like, our average daily play is, X thousand players. And of those 10,000 players that are playing daily, we have their attention for 76 minutes a day or whatever it is, right? So that's what they want to do, is they want to keep you in the game longer. So I didn't get to have my little playtest interview thing because, my trip, and I was going to look for things like, what is the problem that this is solving? Is it solving the issue of, draws in Global Championship? Is it solving the issue of specific teams being too popular? How is this going to affect time spent per day? That's going to really tie into how you get the resources to unlock these different tiers, and how do you re-roll them? Like, what resources are required to re-roll these stats, right? From a low health. Let's see here. So I can't really find any overlapping examples anywhere. Yeah, right here. So this one right here is a legendary roll at 4,050, and this one is an average roll, or a common roll, I guess, of this stat, 2250. Like, how do you get the resources to re-roll this, and how intensive is it going to be? Is it going to be, pay to win? What is it? Are there any concerns about, how bad it would be if you just stacked the 5 or 6 specific talisman enabling heroes? Would that team be too overpowered because of the extra stats? And these are all hypothetical questions. I don't have any answers to these questions because a lot of it builds on each other. Why these specific heroes? I mean, you could argue that some of these heroes are used every single day. In fact, I mean, obviously all these heroes are used every single day, but why are, some of the more meta heroes included here? Whereas, other less popular heroes that aren't being used as much, why aren't they included? Is it a means to balance them, or is it just a popularity contest? Like, what's the deal? And then I was going to ask things like, when are they going to be adding new heroes? When's the expected rollout date for all of that? And then, just any other questions that I could derive from asking those questions is, ideally where I saw that interview going. Right. Now, when is this thing happening? I don't know. I don't even know if it is happening. It might not, Is it going to be in this format right here? Probably not. This document is from mid-July, and I know a lot's changed since mid-July. Fast forward to this morning, though, we got this little update, right? Heroes Alliance. It appears as though some kind of event, a celebration, is coming, and the talismans will be available for specific heroes, and then we'll try them out, right? Not unlike the Skyship Captain event that we just had and other events. We'll try them out. This also saves them from having to do reworks in a way. Yep. It is a money-making machine, guys. The more options to charge, the better for them. Yeah, and, we got to keep this in perspective. I consider myself, in a lot of instances, in life and having to do with Hero Wars, I like to play devil's advocate, meaning that, I try to argue the point, not to be provocative intentionally or to tank debates. I try to think about things from, logical points of view, and I try to think about things from, especially where I'm not directly involved in this. Like, if the game disappears, which it's not going to just disappear if they add this, or any activity or any event or anything, then obviously I'm directly affected. But would I want to quit the game because of this? Probably not. People are going to quit the game because of this. People are going to quit the game because they logged in and they didn't get the reward that they wanted today from the daily quest, right? I don't know. So whenever there is more information on this, whenever more stuff gets added having to do with this, such as, a time for when the event goes live, if it's an event, and any of the answers to any of the questions that I have, the interview that I was going to do the interview live if I could, but it turns out it was an issue with BlueStacks, some kind of playtest issue on their back end. They're still struggling to get that seamless. We'll definitely talk more about this as it comes along. Let's see. It looks a bit like pets. Yeah, kind of. Bonus stats a little bit. Not necessarily. Pets really add skills, right? Do you like Ascension for only select heroes now on mobile, but called something different? Yep. Basically. Except Ascension has set stats. Like, all of the nebulas in Facebook and web have the same stats, right? One of the big arguments against this system is that, it will be impossible to know, going up against a specific line, For example, like using Astaroth here, it would be impossible to know if it's a high armor line, or maybe a heavy magic defense line, or it's impossible to train against. All right, reroll with will be a pain, I bet. I think actually since that's the one thing that we don't know yet. I am worried about that. I'm actually curious that more people aren't worried about that specific aspect. I guess we can't really worry about it because we don't know anything about it yet. But if they made it super easy to reroll, super inexpensive, it wouldn't really solve the training against problem, but you could continually reroll until you got a roll that you wanted. And I think people would devolve into a situation where they would find the best stats for Galahad or Astaroth or Maya or whatever. And everybody would be trying to chase those. It's like eating. Some people eat very fancy, others just basics. Always up to yourself. Let's see, a little more chance to play around with your hero, so like a choose your own adventure. Still not clear what rolling and re-rolling is. All right, so every hero starts with the primary stat of the 6. They start with the primary stat, and that can't be changed. These other 3 slots unlock, and then whenever you unlock them, you can earn a stat, right? And be like, oh, here's bonus strength, but I don't want bonus strength, so I'm gonna re-roll, and I'm gonna add in this as agility instead. But it might not be like a 900 agility. Maybe it's like a like a 1200 agility. Like that would be a higher rarity roll. Okay. And then the second position, you can see I'm guessing this is like magic penetration, whatever this is. You might want to re-roll this to be critical hit rating or vampirism or dodge, I guess. I don't know. And it's interesting. They are giving stats to heroes that don't normally have them. Like they were giving, I think they gave faceless vampirism, for example. I think that was one of the options that was available on faceless. And so you spend resources to reroll one or all of the stats. I think in the current iteration of Talismans, you reroll all 3 stats at once. You don't get to pick which of the 3 stats you want to reroll. Will each line be lockable so you can... So, Richard King, that's one of the things under debate. I would personally allow it to have just, you lock in a stat and you be done with it. It wouldn't solve some of the problems that people are having with this system, but me personally, I think that would be ideal, right? But then you would just keep re-rolling until you found the best, right? Until you found the best stat. So, all kinds of arguments for and against this, and... There's a ton of discussion being had on a lot of different communities. Hard to really say if this is going to matter. Like it could be that they're just going to add it and then just keep on going with their lives and on for trying things. Yeah, Tunes, I am too. A big part of what I'm trying to accomplish in the influencer chat is the wait and see approach. Like the 45 of us or whatever that are in this Discord. We're not gonna necessarily change the mind of a $10-15 million a month company unless they're really open to it, right? Which they could be. They might not be, but they could be. If they have internal testing that shows that giving 90% vampirism to faceless isn't gonna break the game, it is what it is. They're likely using you guys to test the water to see how it will be received before continuing the development. Yep. Yes, Zol, it is able to add credit chance. Yes, that is one of the additional stats. In fact, I think this icon right here is the critical hit stat on Sebastian. My big question number 1 is like, what problem are we trying to solve with this?